Accusations of appropriating Black culture have largely been directed at artists from white imperialist countries. But what happens when K-pop artists are accused of the same? I'm Yoonj Kim, and this is MTV News Need to Know. Blackpink's Lisa made the news for apologizing about cultural appropriation ahead of her new single SG with Megan Thee Stallion, DJ Snake, and Azuna. The singer had an online call with a fan to address criticism over a braided hairstyle she wore derived from Black culture.
No, I didn't have bad attention. I thought that the hairstyle is very cool.
Korean artists have traditionally remained silent on issues of cultural appropriation, but now they're being held to task predominantly by their overseas fan base as K-pop continues to explode on a global scale. Up to this point, the conversation around cultural appropriation has largely been about white or American artists from countries with roots in colonizing and enslaving others. Jessie Nelson, Miley Cyrus, and the Kardashians and Jenners have all come under fire for borrowing fashion from Black and brown people who are discriminated against without attributing or addressing the harms experienced by members of those cultures. But it's one thing when an American artist appropriates, and another when it happens by an idol from a country like South Korea that has itself been brutally colonized without the same historical context of slavery. Coming from a homogenous country, a lot of Korean artists may lack the awareness that their peers in the US have about cultural appropriation. They often adopt hip-hop's beats, fashion, and dance moves without acknowledging the genre's history as a place to speak out and express oneself about the joys and tribulations of the Black experience. However, as the K-pop Hallyu spreads, its audience is becoming more diverse, and non-Black artists benefiting from Black American culture is a problem that fans want addressed. BTS superfan Tatiana talked about why this is such a big issue on MTV digital series Stan Accounts.
There's a technical reason why we have to have our hair in braids or have to do our hair a certain way, and then they're doing it and then they're making money off of it, they're being accepted for it.
To be clear, this is not to say that South Korea doesn't have its own problematic history of discrimination. Lisa, who is Thai and the only non-Korean member of Blackpink, has been the target of racist comments and even death threats online. And South Korean R&B legend In Soo-ni, born to a Korean mother and Black American father, has spoken out about suffering severe discrimination as a mixed-race child. The Korean government has tried to address the lack of diversity in K-pop, which faces accusations of promoting homogenous and unattainable beauty standards. A government guideline read in part that beauty standards of music shows is a serious problem. Most of them are idol band members, but they don't represent various appearances of society. K-pop idols have faced discrimination not just domestically, but globally too, even though they're now some of the biggest stars in the world. For example, a German DJ went on a racist rant comparing BTS to the coronavirus. And Asian culture has been appropriated too, like Gwen Stefani copying Harajuku Girls and Ariana Grande getting a mistranslated Japanese tattoo. Understanding this feeling of discrimination and exploitation may be why more Korean artists are finally addressing hip-hop's influence in K-pop and pushing back against the culture of silence within Korean corporate culture. Korean entertainment companies put a lot of pressure on artists to remain apolitical, not just with racial issues, but in general. K-pop artist and drag princess Soju called this out in a since-deleted tweet, tagging major labels like CJ Entertainment and Big Hit. It breaks my heart that the K-pop industry I love and cherish profits so much from the Black community, but still refuses to stand up for them. What do the agencies have to lose by voicing their support? I'm not saying we let K-pop stars off the hook. Rather, I'm pointing out that it may take longer for artists from other backgrounds to catch up to American expectations and learn the difference between appropriation and appreciation. I'm Yoonj Kim, and that's what you need to know.